Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to TFT, Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with
Oberon.
and me, Banshee. And this is your
Weird
Weird Week.
That's right.
Well, we had a break last week. So the last reading we did was from the week of August 6th through, I think it's 12th or 13th. I think it was 13th, that's right, because it was the Sunday you left on your trip. And to be completely honest with you, I'm not really sure what the cards apply to anymore. And so we feel like we should start with a clean slate today and see where we're going. But I am going to recap the cards we had in the previous week, and maybe as we sit here, something will come to mind. Our focus for August 6th through 12th was Judgment reversed. I'm sure we probably felt that this was some reawakening, reimagining that did not happen. It could also have been something about some criticism, some, judgments that were harsh. Could be some judicial actions that happened. Card 2 was what we would find out or see, and it was a Four of Pentacles reversed. Somebody had to let something go. And, whether it's material, maybe, for example, a strike was solved and people had to give up something in order to reach compromise. Something had to be let go of. It could be material. It could just be something else. It could be maybe a belief or, something like that. Card 3, the Wheel of Fortune was upright, and that was what other perspectives needed to be considered. Where fate was taking things, I know. And it could be up or down because we read that card, it's from the Tarot of Oppositions both ways.
Right, and so there's an encouragement to look at it as either spectrum or maybe more likely somewhere in between.
And so card 4, what was the overall impact with the Healing Life Tarot, was a Two of Swords upright, which sort of indicated a stalemate, like nothing was going anywhere. Decisions and moves have to be made, but maybe it was not the right time to make them. I almost wonder if this was a Georgia grand jury continuing, because they were interviewing people that week, Mr. O,
right.
Still, before they came up with their verdict, and sent it over to the judge.
We did think that some of these cards applied to the overall situation with climate control.
We did.
Two.
So card 4 was that. Card 5 was the Nine of Wands upright, which is gearing up and preparing for something, which again could have been the Trump thing and the Trump legal team preparing their response and, all the wheels being set in motion.
So at any rate, we did think that we would just give it a cursory go through, but basically we wanted to start fresh.
We want to start fresh. If you have any idea what happened the week of August 6th to 12th, because it's a blur to me now. I was busy doing a lot of work that week. So
leave us a comment here or write us an email at tfttarotfortoday@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. That wasn't when Jack Smith's indictment came out. That's been out for longer than that, right?
Maybe at least a week longer.
Yeah. So, at any rate, let's move on and see what Sunny and this weird week has for us in the week ahead.
Card 1.
All right, card 1 comes from my tarot, my twin tarot deck.
It's the major focus theme
or tone. Major focus theme or tone for the week ahead. As I try to keep them here. Yeah, that's right. You've got nowhere to go. But you're on camera, so you should be happy.
So if you're new here, the idea goes back to a different version of your weird week. And it was felt by me, I did it solo, that different decks thematically kind of pulled the reading, towards that question that you might devise there. And it's sort of the same thing, carrying it on, but maybe with some added decks and added emphasis on certain contexts
The Twin Tarot is a double major arcana deck with one set being the upright interpretation and the other being the reversed. So let's see what we get as our major theme or focus, and let's see if we can't focus it on something. Oh boy.
Was it this
We
one?
get this
Yeah.
a number of times, whether it's upright or reversed as the first card. It's death, it's transformation, reversed. You can see here the barrenness of the card, that, everything looks pretty grim and lifeless here. And that's kind of death reversed. It's a card of stagnation. It's a card of a refusal to change in order to achieve growth and in order to bring life to things again. And so is this our planet drying up as the focus? It might be. Is this, just where we are with our political divides, our differences with other countries, for example, diplomacy?
Right. When death is reversed, anything is possible. So it could be applying to those situations. It could be applying to problems in the workforce of various sorts or financial endeavors.
I like it. So let's just say that the major theme or focus seems to be stagnation, a lack of growth, and an inability to change or an unwillingness to change. All right.
But that takes us to card 2 then, which is drawn from the Secrets Tarot. And the question is, what will we find out or see? What are the mysteries that concern possibly what that first card is about? Or I should say most likely.
Yep.
Oh boy. And it's the reversed Queen of Swords. Somebody needs to make a strong decision that will probably be viewed as a harsh, maybe unwise or overly critical one. But the idea would be that they don't really have much of a choice here, that they may really have to make this decision or make this judgment or plow forward this path.
Well, I do think I agree with him that it's a hard judgment that will appear to be cruel to some. This could be a legal matter. Remember that as far as the U.S. goes, the indictments in Georgia that came down on 19 people, all 19 people have to be arraigned or come, to be arrested by August 25th, which is this week. This week, Friday, right?
So it's something we will find out.
It's what we're going to see.
Ooh.
I know. All right, now you get your Tarot of Oppositions, our shared deck, for what other perspectives need to be considered.
And because of that status,
Stay there.
we both shuffle and cut, etc. But the Tarot of Oppositions is notable because in a similar way to the Twin Tarot, it sort of represents the idea or accentuates or emphasizes the idea of a card's reversed properties. But in this case, you're also encouraged to sort of see an in-between or liminal area that it may range from. Who really knows? But what other perspectives, indeed, do we need to consider? Your turn.
I'm giving Sunny a massage.
Oh, good. Well, take your time.
Take my time.
Yes.
Mr. O has left the set. Mr. O has left the set.
Aren't you supposed to be busy over there?
I'm in a shuffling frenzy. But nobody can see me shuffling, and I want to make sure they think everything is on the up and up. You can hear me shuffle. Mr. O, put me on camera. Thank you. I'm still shuffling. So So you shuffled already, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I needed a little bit of sustenance.
All right. Here we go. So what perspectives need to be considered? Other perspectives.
And it's
the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands looks to be upright.
I wasn't sure. That's why I handed it to you.
Well, because
But
the other one has that dark tone, right?
And it looks, yeah, you're right.
I mean,
a twilight tone.
looks like they're barely hanging on, and this one is climbing. This one is going places. So it's interesting because we look at both perspectives here, and, it might be whatever is happening here, some may be considering, the long-term implications of what's happening here. And, maybe planning strategies, successful ones. Maybe they feel they're on a path towards success, while others feel like, this isn't working very well for us. Wow, I really do see something here, but I'm not going to get into it yet. I feel that, well, I did a little bit already, but I feel that there may be just, some things that need to be reworked, retweaked. People maybe have to rethink their strategy. While some are confident with theirs, others need some retooling.
The question, which is perfectly created by Banshee for the spread, as well as the use of this particular deck, is perfect in a way because it really does represent, as a card in this reading, the range of contrary or not contrary people's thinking about it. It really does involve the idea of either diversity or opposition in that question. So having said that, it does seem that although it may be more likely that good leading or planning or direction will be helpful, there will be people who will feel like a chaotic version of that they see.
I'm not sure about the death card yet, but we'll get into that. But clearly, this must tie into this. Whatever harsh critical judgments are coming down that may appear cruel in some ways, there's going to be two sides to this that are going to be trying to figure out strategies. On the one hand, clearly it's going to put somebody at an advantage and somebody else at a disadvantage. That's what I think.
All right. So now we move on to the Healing Light Tarot.
So what is the overall impact with the Healing Light Tarot here? Let's see what we get. It's the Knight of Wands reversed.
The Knight of Wands reversed. What is the overall impact?
Well, seems like somebody's acting out. It could be an individual. It could be a group of people. It seems like there's aggressive actions that are misplaced, I feel like this is somebody acting out. Or maybe they're just, taking aggressive action without thinking about the consequences of their actions.
It feels undisciplined and like it's really a rushy attempt to kind of establish order, but it's not fated for good.
I don't like that one, especially as the overall impact.
Right. So from that overall impact sense, somebody wants to maybe quickly rush in a solution if there's clearly a problem going on here, and they're bound to be overly aggressive and undisciplined about how they might implement that.
Oh boy.
All right.
So he
Okay.
does the last card, which would be what could win the weird week? The possible strategies or outcomes with
The Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot.
yay.
One of my favorite decks for this reading.
Sonny, you cannot be on here.
All right. What could win the weird week?
Uh-oh. Hold on. I just messed up the reading. What?
And it's the Eight of Pentacles.
The Eight of Pentacles. Upright.
Right? Diamonds is Pentacles.
Yes, it's upright.
So, or is it the Six? No, it's the Six.
Oh,
That made more sense when I looked at the picture, so that
Yeah.
wasn't quite right.
it's
So,
the Six of Pentacles.
money helps everything. And the idea that maybe if there was a possibility that somebody who had the financial means, this is purely financial, could possibly make a difference in what this is. So if it was climate control, maybe there would be a commitment to create or work on the technologies that could help with that. If it was the legal implication, well, this could go the opposite way. Maybe somebody would buy justice for their position.
Well, I like that part because I wanted to go some other way. You know, you say it's purely financial, but I'm not necessarily going to say that. I think it's about
Generosity.
balance and fairness, what's fair and what's right, you know, and giving and taking in equal measure. And so this is about righting things. This is about being fair. It's not justice, I would say that. So it can be about the fairness of the equitable balance of resources here, but it could also be about what you put out, you are going to get back, you know? And I think in this case, it's a positive here. It's interesting.
So are we ready for a recap?
I think we are, but are we going to agree on something?
Are we going to what?
Agree.
Well, let's try to. So card one
Go
was
ahead.
what is the major theme or
Sorry.
focus? And it was Death Reverse, which of course Banshee indicated we have come across this path before, but this could be saying that this is concerning some sort of event or situation that could easily just stagnate and kind of belly up. Something that maybe had a promise but no longer does. We may discover that this is people's ideas or ambitions about any number of topics, including climate control or currently what's going on in the indictment process for former President Trump.
I wanted to see that again. I'm sorry. I agree. I agree with this. I feel like there is stagnation here. It's like, you know, if it is about the Trump indictments, for example, I think people are so tired, you know, and let's face it, hearts and minds are not completely being changed here. Maybe I'm not seeing it, but you know, the people who truly support Trump, for example, aren't changing over this. And so there's stagnant energy here, you know, and maybe some of the rest of us just want it all done. Whatever the case may be with that, that could be why death is here. And there's also an unwillingness maybe on some of the people's parts to change and accept their responsibility for what happened so we could move on faster.
There's total inertia in this card, and so no matter what situation applies to, it's almost like on either side or any side, there just is a blah feeling about doing anything. Sad.
And so if this is about climate, clearly, you know, things are drying up, things are dying, and we can't replace forests fast enough with the way they are burning to the ground worldwide. And so we have to face that fact as well. I don't want to keep going to climate or Trump every time we do these readings, but this does seem to be the big thing right now.
Card 2.
What we will find out or see the mysteries, and that is
the reversed Queen of Swords.
That hard, difficult decisions have to be made. Sometimes they seem hard and cold. And maybe the problem is what we find out and see is how cold and heartless our leaders are when people are dying, like in Hawaii from wildfires and stuff, that we can't, that have some basis, wasn't the total basis with the Maui fires, but with other things, with things that we should try to mitigate.
It could also relate to the international or tensions between Russia, Ukraine, and other countries, too. The idea that somebody may just decide to deal in the way that they feel is best, and to hell with the other opinions.
Well, I guess if we're going to throw in a third focus...
we were going to kind of stick to it, too, weren't we? Okay,
no, I don't know. But so if we did, then obviously peace talks, there are none, or they're shams. Both sides. I know that Russia's been doing some that don't include Ukraine. And hard decisions, there's cruelty going on between these two countries right now. It continues. So let's take a look at card 3. What other perspectives need to be considered, Mr. O? And that is...
The Two of Wands.
The Two of Wands upright. Which I'll err on the side of, we need to do more long-term planning. People need to scope out their strategies, and if this is the right direction, that will bring success. So let's talk about these 3 scenarios here, With climate, we have to make some hard decisions, and we have to come up with a strategy that will work for everyone. As we can see here, there are people that just can't pull it together. Some people who just don't believe we need any strategy.
Right, and I don't know if that could apply totally to perhaps the Russia-Ukraine, but it could.
Let's go there after.
But it could.
Climate.
But I think that it's like the same thing from over here, that, either there's a sense of not caring or despair, and this is saying that the range of feelings of how we want to respond, how we want to formulate plans, will also be divided amongst those who are into that.
With the indictments, and I don't want to just restrict it to Trump, there are 19 people indicted. It looks as though, I don't know, people are feeling maybe this is the end, and there's no way out, which means that maybe some people might be willing to cut a deal and offer up information. There's hard decisions that have to be made here by everybody involved. Defense, the prosecution, and the people involved, including witnesses who are being threatened and intimidated, by the way. Maybe that's where the cruelty is coming in. But let me add one more thing here before I let you go at this one. Again, there are 2 sides to this. One side, they feel like they've got the winning strategy here. And the other side feels at a real disadvantage and is trying to stall.
But in general, this card always seems to be, in the reading, the one that most applies to the divide between people's opinions or that kind of thing. And so we have it here, or it shows up here in this reading, because there really is a strong difference of opinion in some quarters. And so for those who really think we can plan or manage our way out of this, there are those whose idea about that isn't that they don't want to do it. They just sort of think they have a more chaotic way of doing it.
And let's talk about Russia and Ukraine, which we did that already with these. Let's talk about it here, because I feel here this could really apply to that, because both sides have their own plans and strategies. And they can't come together on it. They can't come up with something that they both can agree upon going forward.
Yep, I agree with that. So, card 4.
What's the overall impact?
And it's the reversed Knight of Wands.
Boy, oh boy.
Sit down.
The reverse Knight of Wands with the overall impact is aggressive actions taking place. Anger, maybe lashing out, maybe also making maneuvers and things that are not well thought out and not very well advantageous. What comes to mind to me is funny. It's like something that happened last week, but I'm going to bring it up because maybe, eventually it'll come back again. But let's start with the Trump legal case with this one.
Knight of Swords. What's wrong?
Oh, it's here. Okay, I kept looking here. I'm sorry, and I was getting confused.
Stagger them a little bit.
The Knight of Wands is card 4 is saying reversed is, for the Trump case is saying, hey, we know how he acts out already, but there are other people acting out and trying to defend themselves in maybe ways that aren't very smart. Mark Meadows looks really kind of bad to just say he was just following orders. That's what happens in autocratic regimes, I'm just following orders. That doesn't make him any less culpable in this indictment. And also, we know that Trump acts out. And for example here, he wanted this last week, he said he was going to release a super duper, totally exonerating report on Monday that means that everybody should be let go, that this trial should not happen. It will prove everything he has said. Well, he changed his mind on that. There was aggressive action. I wonder if we're going to get more of the same in this week ahead as the people have to come into jail to be arraigned in Georgia.
Well, in the indictment
Arrested.
situation...
I should say arrested.
In the indictment situation, I look at the Knight of Swords reversed as Knight of Wands reversed as somebody who maybe is a little craven and cowardly in a way. That they might have aggressive energies, but they're also that a little bit. Because, normally there's a charismatic matter thing about some of the Wands court cards. And so in this case, it's an anti-charisma too.
I do have to say he's right about that. One thing I would say is not so much a shyness factor like we would do with the king and the queen, withholding their power in a different manner. This is somebody who who may have a lot of bluster, may have a lot of anger. Wonder who I could be talking about here. But deep down inside, they're cowards, And maybe that goes for a lot of the people who are being indicted.
Well, and then beyond the indictment, if we're talking about Russia-Ukraine, talking about Russia-Ukraine, it's only loaded with, a lot of cowardly, craven stuff. If we're talking about climate change, there are a lot of people who don't care or know but don't care.
Want to take aggressive action that is counterproductive. In other words, like, for example, in the U.S., our legislature coming up with bills to, dampen climate change. People want to get rid of the EPA or, minimize what they can enact, what kind of laws they can, or regulations that they can enact. Because only Congress can make laws.
And if we're going to get a little bit partisan, as much as, our current president has done to work with some of the strategies, he's also made some incredible fossil fuel deals that are just sort of negating or could be negating the impact of clean air resolutions.
And let's face it, this is something that affects the world. The world is affected by political leaders who are not doing right by us, as far as climate goes.
There you go.
So let's just say that. And just going back to Ukraine for a moment.
For the whole world. No, I'm kidding.
Going back to Ukraine for a moment, though, I did want to make a comment on that Russia-Ukraine conflict. And I am a little bit concerned with this overall impact here that, there could be some kind of bad attack taken by one side that could cause some things to happen, an aggressive act that was not well thought out. So let's keep our eye on that in the week ahead?
Well, that energy in this case almost matches the reverse Queen of Swords that's nearly parallel to it.
And
the idea
in a
of something
sense,
we'll find out.
it's a cowardly act.
Yes.
And card 5, what could win the weird week? Possible strategies and outcomes, and we had an okay card for this. I think if only we could think about the greater good, in all of this. Okay, I'm going to start with the Trump indictments. What is the greater good here? To me, my personal feeling, in whatever form it takes, is to let justice play out and let justice be done. And what I like about this card here is the fact that there is the scales on it, which is very similar and akin to the Justice card.
The card, totally implies the idea of fairness, whether it's legal fairness or whether it's just fairness of the human spirit.
Exactly. It should be fair on all sides. I always say, even if it was Hunter Biden, okay? Even if they, whatever.
There may be something about
and
it.
even if they did find an actual connection, which they have not, with the Biden family, that they could legally stand on, if they found one, I always say, I don't care. I'm not partisan about justice. Let the chips fall where they may. And that's the bottom line.
And if we apply it to Russia, Ukraine,
Yes.
then it becomes maybe a similar thing that either somebody becomes the arbitrator and helps bring some sort of solution or diplomacy, or they find it within themselves. Russia eventually backs down under pressure or whatever.
Money could be a factor here for Russia in that, the ruble has really hit hard lately. They may be getting help from China and from some other sources, but they're not doing all that well. Inflation rate is insane in Russia. I just feel here that, they may have to start trying to think of ways that they can counterbalance things. But also, I like what you said about diplomacy here. I feel like maybe somebody could step in and say, look, we have to totally bring you both sides together. This cannot be one-sided. It is not going to work. There has to be a way to try to find this. And so I feel like that would win the weird week if it was possible for Russia. Just like fairness in the legal system and letting the legal system do its job without bullying jurors, without interfering in the process, that could win the weird week. And climate change?
It needs somebody who has a bigger mind, a bigger heart, who has the ability to make it relevant and to make it easily understood, somebody that can bring people together on that issue, because nothing will really move forward until more people, at least a majority of people, really have the ability to make that difference.
It's about generosity and giving and balance and taking, and it is a pentacle card, so I feel perfectly fine in saying here that we have to learn to live more in balance and in harmony with our home, Mother Earth. We have to give back now because we have taken so much, and she's hurting, and we feel that aggressive action in a way of her hurt and her pain. Right?
I can't say anything else.
Wow. So that covers the weird week ahead. Those 3 things we're going to be looking at more solidly and strongly for the week ahead and see what happens. But if something else comes up, we'll be ready.
And if you have any ideas,
yes,
you're certainly welcome to connect with us before next week when we'll wrap it up.
Yep. And we'll see you again on another episode of Your Weird Week. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.